Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Let me tell you about today's episode. It is SCT Sampler Kit unboxing and project time, and the kit this month has some retro vibes going on, plus some lovely Valentine's theme. Let's check out what else is beautiful in this kit before we move on to a project that I put together. So let's get started. All right, here is my SCT Sampler Kit package, and this month it's not quite as thick as some other months, so I always like to squeeze it before I open it. And pulling it out, our theme word for this time around is beautiful, which means SCT will provide us with a matching word and shadow die, and we'll get to that as soon as I pull this out. SCT is also doing some new goodies in the kits this year, so I'm curious to see what that goodie will be this time around. And here is our die first off, and of course it is a beautiful die with both the word and the shadow, and I will put that to use on our project today. We have, a stamp set that is from SCT this time around. Sometimes they'll do stamp sets from other companies, but they have this one that's set up to work with the beautiful word die, so that will be fun to play with in the future. I didn't use that one much on the project today. So there are two sets of supplies in here from our two manufacturers. This left-hand set is from Jen Hadfield, and it includes some holographic foil elements to it, although some of my pieces didn't come with that. I've got just a couple pieces that did. There is a cut apart journal card there. There is a sheet of cardstock stickers. I like the weight of these stickers, so that is nice. And some of those stickers have holographic foil on them, but I didn't get any with holographic foil. So that is sometimes how the sampler kits goes, because they are samplers. You're getting partial packages of everything. And then here is the 6x6 papers cut down from the 12x12 full-size sheets, and I will give you a peek at both the A side and the B side. And this collection has a bit of a retro vibe to some of it, and when I flip the papers over, I tend to lay them on my table the side that I will use. That little heart print is pretty cute, but these flowers, oh, those are so fun. That would be fun to use, but I think I'd go with the other side for my project. And then we are moving on to the Bella Boulevard products, and they have a little Bella Pop there, which is kind of a boombox icon, which totally sparks a story for me, and we'll get to that. And then we have some ephemera pieces here from one of their embellishment packs for this collection. And then we will move on to, here is a cut apart from a regular 12x12 paper, and there's the B side of that, which is a nice stripe. And then we'll go through the rest of these papers that again were cut down from the 12x12 size. We have a border sheet on the back. We have another stripe, and then here is a very colorful stripe, and then on the back is some flowers. This print is pretty fun. There's lots of phrases on there included with the XOXO theme, and then the backside is just a subtle B-side print. And this little doodly print reminds me of my high school days, because I used to do a lot of doodles like that. And then the other side is those hearts, which are really pretty. And we've got some music notes on this side. Again, my ideas are starting to come together for what I want to do for the project. And then, of course, we have some rainbows, and then a simple black heart, kind of polka dot style on that side. And that piece I totally have an idea for. All right, let's go ahead and turn to the project. And actually this time around, these two products in this kit inspired a story for me that I want to tell about my music listening back in high school versus now. And here I'm explaining that I want to use kind of a half circle style to this layout. And because the layout's going to be 12x12, I'm actually going to have to go with quarter circles on the top, and I will show you how to cut 6x6 papers down into quarter circles so that you can create circular layouts. I am just sorting through all the products that I think I could use. I found that little kind of cut apart piece that says groovy, and that's actually something I say these days. And so I'm just sorting through bits and pieces, coming up with a set that I think will work. And then I printed some photos. That is from my high school yearbook that I just took a photo of and printed it out. And I think I want to use these retro hearts, because that kind of reminded me of, growing up in the 80s. And here is how one way, I often do this on my die cut my electronic die cut machine, but here is one way to create circles. If you cut 4 of these down, you can have 4 full circles, but I tape a string at the very corner of the paper, stretch it to the next corner of the paper, wrap it around a pencil, and then just use it like a compass and create an arc. Keep your string kind of taut as you go, and that'll create a fairly smooth circle. And then just be careful as you trim it out to keep it smooth. Now, what happened here is that I wanted my circle to face one direction, and I successfully did that with my second piece of paper, but I forgot to do that with my first heart piece of paper. So I had to go back and pull a different piece of paper. So I pulled this orange one instead. Even though I like the navy color better, I will get navy on my layout in another way. So I'm going to make sure it's facing the right way this time and trace it and cut it out again. So now I have my half circle set up. And like I said, you can do a full circle with these layouts if you like that look. But I'm going to use kind of a shelf style with that half circle on top. I'm going to create a belly band for my half circle, and then below that shelf, that belly band, I will create some more embellishments down there and a place for my journaling and whatnot. So I pulled out this kind of iridescent alpha set. Even though there's not many letters left to spell things, I Frankenstein my letters together, and I come up with the title that you can kind of see tucked down there. On my then side of the layout, I am going to ink everything to give it just a little bit of an older look. It's a very subtle detail in the end, but sometimes those things work out better than other times. At any rate, I am getting my half circles glued down here. So I'm just kind of using that ruler guide to help get that circle set up straight in the beginning, and then the rest of the layout will flow from there. So that is all in place, and I've got my belly bands cut. And again, this is 6x6 paper going into a 12x12 layout. So I'm just kind of tucking them as well together as I can. And with the smaller print, or the, subtle print, it's easy to get them to line up okay and not look too out of place. So with my Frankenstein letters ready to go, I am going to go ahead and tack those down. And I really had to work on those letters pretty hard to get them to work out. But I had only used 25% of that sheet, and it was ready to be put in the trash. What are you going to do? At any rate, I am choosing more patterns of paper, and I am going to create banners down to hang down from my shelf layout there. And I'm going to get those hearts back on the layout because I really liked that print. And notice I did create my background with a navy piece of cardstock, and navy is one of my favorite colors to work with right now. And I am going to use plenty of it. So getting the retro prints on the left-hand side of this page, and this pink print, it's a little hard to see here, but hopefully you saw the close-up earlier, has a lot of kind of doodly squiggle designs on it. And I used to doodle a lot in high school, so that was kind of fun to use that on there. And then the now side of the print, I'm going to use patterns that kind of make me happy now. So more subtle patterns in blues, colorful, rainbowy, watercolory kind of patterns. And I'm definitely more into florals now than I used to be, although I'm not a huge floral girl, but it fits better than some of the other prints do. And then of course that peace sign print on the other side is definitely, it was before my time, but it's still more retro than now. So I am creating those little banner groupings, and I will line them up in various ways until I'm happy with them and get them all tacked down. And then I realized I forgot to ink the edges of my other banners. So sometimes I can just peel them apart with that glue gun that I use, and sometimes it's too late. So I just kind of twisted my paper so that I could finish inking up those edges. And then I'm ready to do a bit of embellishing. So I wanted to put that boombox on there because that has some things to do with my story. I had gotten a little cassette player radio at one point as a gift as a kid. And I remember hearing a news story on the radio about how tapes were going out of style. And of course, not really understanding that they were talking about 8-track tapes. I was panicking a little bit until later when I realized that's what they meant. And we did have a car with an 8-track tape player in it, so I knew what 8 tracks were. So it was just kind of funny how, those things you worry about as a kid. At any rate, I have done a little bit of embellishing there, and now I saved this stripe paper for my journaling, and I wanted to cut it apart into strips because I like the strip look of journaling, although I don't always feel successful at getting that strip style of journaling in there, partially because I have too much to say most of the time and it just gets overcrowded, and partially because with the strip style of journaling, I really like it printed better than handwritten, but I never really have the energy to print it out. I just like to write it by hand and get it done. But anyway, I have moved on. I did use the die in the kit to create that beautiful word and put it over another cut apart that said song so that it reads beautiful song. And there was a favorite, there's a couple favorite beautiful songs back from then. So that made a little sense. And because I wanted to choose the XOXO on the other side of this shelf piece, I wanted to balance those out with a little phrase on each side. So I got that phrase going on the left and the XOXO on the right. And while I'm looking at a few more embellishments, I know that I can fit that little groovy stamp on there, which makes me happy because we do listen to a lot of interesting music. My husband will put on a YouTube channel that plays international music. And so I always say, well, that one's kind of groovy when he's got his music going. So I do use that phrase. It's fun. I have another one. I can't quite remember what that other one says, but that little sticker will make a nice little cluster with that groovy tag. And then I'm just doing a few sprinkles of the last bits of stickers from that boombox. And I'm going to do a little bit of stamping from the stamp set that's in the kit to finish off these sprinkles. And it's a little subtle on camera here, but hopefully you can see some of that in the close-ups when we get to that. Just using a little bit of masking tape to protect surfaces as I work with those stamps so that the stamps look like they're, flowing in and under and around everything, since I did them as an afterthought. All right, off camera, I wrote out my journaling and I thought I cut apart into chunks that would fit well both on the left and the right sides, but that didn't work out. So I'm gonna have to kind of rethink those chunks and take all my strips and center them across these banner pieces. And it kind of hides the banner pieces a little bit, but that's okay. The journaling now kind of spans the time from then and now. So I think visually and story-wise, it works okay. I'm using this little silicone mat to help me space out things. I am popping up those strips on foam dots. And then for this last chunk, it's not really a paragraph, but for that last paragraph, I wanted to start setting it at the bottom so that I can try and get as much space as possible between it and the next paragraph up so that it kind of helps visually chunk up the parts of the story. And that's the best I could do, so that is what I stick with. I do look at one more embellishment, and I know already that it's not going to fit, yet I cut it apart anyway, and I put it on my layout, and then I look at it, and I'm like, what was I thinking? So I just set that off to the side. A little bit of fluffing of my banners, and I'm going to call this one done. So that is it for this time around. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And I will be back tomorrow with a mixed media layout process video. And then we're getting close to the beginning of March. So I will probably not be back until March 1st after that. Until then, have an artful day.